Great memories of watching this guy play. It's just a rocket arm, a great career, and he's gone on to do incredible things after football. You know him, you love him. He's a gentleman. He is Drew Bledsoe. What's up, Drew? Good morning, football, man. How you doing?
Morning, guys. What's going
on? Thrilled to talk to you. Yeah. What's up?
We're about to get back to the good time of the sports year. You know, we had this nice little interlude, you know, with the Olympics this summer, which gave us something that we really liked to watch for a little while. But now, you know, preseason football is just not that interesting, and but we're about to get back to it. I can't wait.
Oh, believe us. We hear you. We can't wait for the opener. And, Drew, there's so many places to go. You got this beautiful stone fireplace, and you're sipping your mug, and you're just living the Drew Bledsoe life. But I wanted to throw you right into what we were just talking about. So there's this big story this week where Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins quarterback, really fired some shots at his former head coach, Brian Flores, about his treatment of him and how he was too hard on him. I look at you. You played for the oldest of the old school, Parcells, Belichick. You're the number 1 overall pick. What are your memories of how they treated you when you came in, and how has it changed over the last 25, 30 years to what we have now?
Yeah. You know, Parcells, you know, playing quarterback for Parcells, man, you better have thick skin, and you better be able to just, like, sometimes you just need to wear earmuffs. Man, he was right in your ear all the time, just badgering you. Yeah, I had Pete Carroll, who was different. Pete was actually quite a pleasure to play for. And then Belichick's Belichick, you know, and he's not going to pull any punches. So, but I do think that it has changed. And I think the case in point for how it's changed is the fact that Bill Belichick is not on an NFL sideline this year. You know, I think everybody's going younger. They want you know, this more of a positive approach to coaching, and that's definitely changed. I can see that from a player perspective, you know, and also from, you know, if you're going to be Parcells, you got to be Parcells. You got to be funny, right? You know, you can't just be mean. You know, from a fan perspective. So, yeah, I can see where it's changed, and I don't think it's great optics for Tua. It's not. I don't think it's ever cool to take shots at somebody after they're gone. But at the same time, you know, it is indicative of where the game has gone.
Wow.
Totally. You know, we saw you at the roast of Brady this summer. We also saw at the Jersey thing, and then of course Brady is at the Fanatics Fest talking with Stephen A. doing stuff. Like, Brady's been out there, but Brady's really going to be out there this fall when he's the number 1 announcer for Fox. You were in obviously the locker room with him, but you saw him, like, Tom Brady, the broadcaster. What's your initial thoughts as someone who knows him pretty well?
You know, I'm sure he'll do a great job at it, and you know, the thing that people look at they miss when they talk about broadcasters and whether they succeed or fail, it's the guys that do the work that are great at it. And it's really that simple. You know, you look at Aikman, you look at Romo, you know, these guys that broke in and, you know, like, everybody looks at Romo like he's predicting the future. Oh, how did he predict that play, right? Well, he went to practice. He saw what they ran from that formation, and that's practice, and that's what they did, right? So I know that Tommy will work it to death. I will get kind of tired of his squeaky ass voice, but I know he'll do a great job calling the games.
All right, I'll let the guys pick your brain about roasting Tom Brady in just a second, since you went there and now you've invited us in with that squeaky voice comment. But I have to pick your brain about the rookie quarterback conversation that everyone seems to be having. Seems very heavy this year since there were half a dozen picked in the first round. Your first overall back in 1993, you start right away. Brady has this talk about lack of development for these quarterbacks. Where do you stand on this in terms of teams that are in need, young quarterbacks, and being thrown into the fire right away?
Yeah, it's such an individual decision for each quarterback, right? Some quarterbacks, I felt like I was ready to play, right? I felt like I, was ready to get in there and go. But then you've seen other quarterbacks that sit for a year or two, and it's very beneficial for them. And so I think that coaches, as they're looking at these guys, they have to determine, okay, is it the right time for this guy? Is he ready to go now? Because you also have to take into account, is your team ready for them to play? Because you put a guy in there early and your team's not at that level yet. Now you can mess with that guy's confidence and mess with the rest of his career by throwing him out there when your team's not ready to support him. So there are a lot of things that go into it. I don't like the idea that sometimes there's pressure to put these guys on the field just because of where they were drafted. That's the wrong way to approach it. You got to look at the guy and look at whether he's actually ready to go on the field and whether your team is ready for him to be on the field.
Drew, man, I gotta say, you're one of the coolest dudes I know, man. I watched that roast. I was at that roast right there, and you had me in stitches. I was a little nervous because I'm like, well, this is Drew Bledsoe. Like, does he have comedic chops? But you did a tremendous job with your quote-unquote speech. I mean, you went to work, and you were so calm, popping the collar. Like, how much preparation did you put into that? Like, you got to let me know, because if there was no prep and you just rolled off out of bed out there, bro, you need to stop the wine business, and you need to get straight into comedy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, there was some prep time. I'm not going to lie about that. I wasn't too nervous about it because, obviously I've been speaking in public for years and years. And that was probably the most prepared I've been for something I was going to say publicly, just because I'd had to run through it with my wife and my kids because they were so nervous. my kids each individually called me like, all right, Dad, what are you going to say? They were so nervous because all they hear from me are bad dad jokes and, super, inappropriate stuff at inappropriate times. And so they're like, Dad, you can't go do comedy. So they made me run through the whole routine with them. My wife did veto. I think that's out there. My wife did veto one joke, which I've never told publicly, and I still won't. Because she's like, no, that's over the line. Okay, well, that's over the line. So then she had to chime in and help me with one of them. So, and then we did go back and forth with the writers, and they're great at what they do. So they helped take some of the ideas that I had and put them in sequence so that things rolled. So there was some prep time for sure. The problem for me was that like a week later, I started looking back at it, and I came up with an entirely different routine, an entirely different script that I think would have actually. So that was the other part. So now I hope there's another roast, and I hope I get invited.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Drew, you know that. Like, these comedians, they do a special, they premiered on Netflix, and then a year later they do another special. I'm with you. I feel like we need round two, and you can use your next best stuff, and you've been workshopping.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just want to know who's going to be next, I mean, who can follow that one, right? I mean, you could do Peyton and Eli at the same time. Roast both of them. That would be kind of funny.
Yeah. I'm good with Travis Kelce up there.
You got to go for Belichick, man.
Give me Kelce.
Belichick would be good.
Kelce.
Yeah.
Let's see Taylor get a little bit of the roast jokes. Never mind. Okay, here we go.
That'd be pretty fun.
Quarterback here, obviously a legendary one, and we always talk about depth charts, but you're also in the wine game. And if you don't know, everyone, look up Drew Bledsoe in wine and what he does up there in Washington
Bledsoe
State.
Family Winery. It's
incredible, and it's not just an overnight success. This has been the test of time. So Kyle and I had this idea.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us your depth chart, your top 4
grapes.
What's
the grape depth chart,
Give it to us, the depth chart, and give it to us. Stack it up.
Sure.
I'll write this down.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna put Cabernet as number one. Always has been. For thousands, well, maybe at least hundreds of years. So I'm always gonna put that at number one. It's still my favorite. Number 2 for me though, and this would be a personal favorite, like desert island wine, would be Nebbiolo. I love the wines from northern Italy, Barolo, Barbaresco, we've actually planted a little bit of that just to see if we can replicate what happens in Italy. Pinot Noir would be third on that depth chart, and just to round out the and maybe add a little diversity to the quarterback room, I'm going to throw in a white wine. We're going to have some Chardonnay in there just to mix it up.
Nice. What about Argentina, Merlot? You got to put Merlot in there.
Malbec?
Oh no,
the Malbec. The Malbec.
This is another whole show that we could do a deep dive. Yeah, Malbec I love, Merlot I love, Syrah. I mean, we didn't even talk about Syrah. I mean, we
Syrah,
could
yeah.
I can geek out stuff with you for hours.
All right.
Listen, you only got so many spots. The Malbec, they got to turn in their playbook. They only have so many spots on the grape room. Drew, you have so many things going on, FanDuel, Sunday Ticket, YouTube, but we'd be remiss not asking this. 26 years ago, the #1 movie in the United States of America was a movie called There's Something About Mary. Brett Favre has a memorable, if not exactly perfect performance in the movie. The rumor is he was the third choice. Second choice was Steve Young, who did not agree with the content. And the first choice was Drew Bledsoe, who was not able to appear in the movie, according to the internet, because he got injured moshing at a concert. Can you please settle the truth about the legend of you and There's Something About Mary?
Okay, so there's truth to this, but I was not first choice. I was second choice. Cameron Diaz had a crush on Steve Young, and so Steve Young was first, but he wouldn't do it because good Mormon boy, and it didn't fit with his beliefs. I was the second choice because the Farrelly brothers are from the New England area, and so they reached out. And it was soon after I had a little mosh pit, nightclub incident in Boston. That was big news. But I was also out here at our cabin in Montana, and I just didn't feel like moving. I just didn't feel like going anywhere and doing it. So they handed it down to Favre, who his acting chops are terrible. I would have much been better. So. I do feel bad that the movie didn't come off as great as it would have had I played the part.
Oh. I have an idea, Drew. I don't think we need a subject that gets roasted by multiple people. I think you just get to roast multiple people. Like, you get to stand up there and just have the list because, man, you are just ready to fire on anybody that we bring up. It's fantastic.
It's as long as they're my generation, I can get after them.
I know. Drew, we want to thank you for your time so much and everything you got going on. Can you just please tell us, FanDuel, Sunday Ticket, YouTube, there's a million things. Just go ahead and plug where you can get more of you.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually. FanDuel this year, for anybody that bets $5 on FanDuel, they'll get a free three-week trial of Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV, which is awesome. I mean, $5, you get 3 weeks. That's pretty fantastic. And I've been a big fan of Sunday Ticket moving to YouTube and YouTube TV simply because it just works. That's all I really ask from all the different apps and all the different streaming services that we use. Okay, I'll pay for it. It's got to work. And YouTube TV seems to work very well. So it's a great promotion. Obviously, with FanDuel, like everybody knows, gambling is for fun. This is not it's not an investment and should be done responsibly with a budget. I know that personally. I do like to put a wager on a game now and then. I'm terrible at it, so I'm glad that I've never gone down that.
I like that honesty.
Of betting money that mattered. It makes it entertaining, but unfortunately, I don't know why. I think you would think I would know something about sports or at least about football, and I'm just awful at gambling. So I'm glad that I've always been within parameters that can make it entertaining without getting me in trouble with my wife.
I get it. That's the secret to life. You're awful at that, but you're great at everything else. Drew, we love you, man. Thank you for joining us. Salud to the entire Bledsoe family. You're the best.
Salud, man. I want to tour the Walla Walla Valley.